Oh, and you must be Dario.
Nice to meet you, Mrs. Anderson.
Crystal's told me so much about you.
Oh, did she? Did she tell you about these? Woo! Pretty badass, right? Woo!
All right, what's all this wooing about? Is the paper here?
No. Crystal's new boyfriend is here.
Dario, Crystal's told me so much about you. Good to meet you.
Oh, yeah? Did she tell you about these? Woo!
Why, yes, I do believe she mentioned something about you ripping your shirt off.
Did she tell you about how fast I can run?
This is great! Honey, play that song about this.
Run around, around.
All right, Dario, you can do this!
Hi, I'm Clint Webb, and I'm running for Senate. I have a short cropped haircut, a pretty enough yet accessible looking wife, and a newborn baby that I've dressed in a suit to prove to you that I mean business. For the last 15 years, I've lived my life in such a bland, uncontroversial, and repressed manner that it's almost unnatural. Why? Because I've been preparing to be your representative since I was a child. Most well-adjusted, sane men would be hesitant to take a job where their decisions would so drastically affect the lives of so many. But not me. I possess a sort of sociopathic narcissism that makes me think that I should be in charge of everyone. But all of that needs to start here at home, in this beautiful state that I've grown to love since I moved here 18 months ago. Together, we can piggyback some of our state's legitimate needs onto my unquenchable lust for self-glorification. And that's a promise.
Here's an unflattering picture of my opponent. Here's a quote of his taken out of context.
Oh, and one more thing. I have a dog. I enlisted in the military for the minimum amount of time in a position that would never see combat. Why? Well, because it would help me be your senator. I don't make friends. I make acquaintances. All of my motives are ulterior. I'm self-involved to the point of psychosis. My soul is terrifying. And that's leadership. So this November, let's send Washington a message. And what is that message? Hey, me.
My fellow Cherokee, it is with heavy heart that I speak to you today. It is the year 1831, and the United States government is forcing us to leave our ancestral home and walk hundreds of miles to go and live on Indian reservations forever. This journey will be dangerous and difficult, and will be known forever as the Walk of Shame.
Caleb, it was called the Trail of Tears.
Not the Walk of Shame.
It was also called the Walk of Shame.
No, it wasn't. It was never called that.
Wikipedia said that it was called the...
Caleb, I don't care what Wikipedia says. It was called the Trail of Tears. The Walk of Shame is something else entirely. Now, continue.
Well, whatever. Anyway, we will have to make this long and dangerous journey because we have finally lost our long war we waged against the cowboys. The reasons for this were, we were no match for their superior numbers. Our own people were divided into too many different tribes and did not fight together. And we were too stupid to have invented guns.
Okay, Caleb, that's it.
What?
The report is just inflammatory now.
What?
They were too stupid to invent guns.
Then why hadn't they?
Because some cultures find different things important, like basket weaving or crafts.
That's not what Wikipedia said.
Caleb, I don't care what Wikipedia says. Class, I don't want to have to say this again. No hate speech in our reports. Now, continue.
I mean, most of us are such fags that even chickenpox and shit will kill us.
Okay, Caleb, that's it. The S word? Really? In a school report?
Sorry, I just copy and pasted from Wikipedia.
Okay, that's it. Sit down. You get a 0.
No, the principal said you can't fail anyone anymore because the school won't get its funding.
Why did I become a teacher?
Because you thought all these kids would be like, oh, my teacher's a hero to me and shit.
Good evening. You're watching PBS. You're joining us now for Chapter 3 in our 8-part miniseries entitled Whitman, a look at the life and works of Walt Whitman. In addition to writing some of the most influential poetry of the English language, Walt Whitman also kept a journal throughout much of his life. In the first 2 installments of the show, we read from his elementary school years. Today we'll be reading passages he wrote in his 13th year. With me as always is our panel of experts, Dr. Henry Jones, Dr. Dick Kimball, and Dr. Jackie Ryan. Panelists, thoughts on what we've read thus far?
Powerful, powerful work. You can see the talent at such a young age.
It's very interesting, you know, the way he writes about his childhood friends and his family dog are just leaps and bounds beyond the faculties of a normal 8-year-old.
Now let's take a look at some of Mr. Whitman's writing from the first day of 7th grade. Dear Diary, today was the first day of 7th grade, and all I could think about are boobs. Boobs, 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 boobs. Big bouncy boobs. I want them in my mouth. I want them in my hands. I want them all over me. Today, I thought of boobs. The mind of a master. Panelists, thoughts?
I think it's important to keep in mind that in his early works, he had yet to find his literary voice. I mean, a boy his age, we can clearly see that he's struggling with new thoughts and feelings.
Absolutely. You know, I couldn't disagree more. I think, dare I say it, that this may be some of his bravest, most illuminating work.
But this is not his work. This is his diary.
No, 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 no. Listen to his words. Boobs, boobs, boobs. Big bouncy boobs. Listen to that alliteration.
I find it interesting that even at his young age, Whitman was able to pull such different reactions out of different people. Yes. Let us read from a chapter that he wrote the following month. Boobs. More boobs. I want to stick my dick in boobs. There's a girl in my class named Janice Williamson. She has the biggest boobs. In the margins of this page, I have drawn what I imagine her naked boobs to look like. And here, if we could bring camera 1 over to me, we can see. This is Janice Williamson.
And she's 13 years old, right?
Well, I suppose it is interesting that this is the only time I'm aware of Walt Whitman including an illustration with his writings.
You know, I think it's interesting to point out that it seems that Mr. Whitman is exaggerating a little bit. I mean, these are full womanly boobs, whereas your average 13-year-old's breasts tend to resemble more of a bloated, fleshy candy corn.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable if we could just move on to his later years. I mean, he gets really good at 17.
You know, I'd like to counter with something. Perhaps Janice Williamson was held back a couple years. Because, like I said, most 13-year-olds' breasts are nothing to write home about. But these, hachi-machi.
You know, I think I'm just going to D-Mike now.
I think I'm going to D-Mike. Hachi-machi. The debate crackles. Come, let us read an excerpt that took place in October of the following year. If you look at the bottom of this page, you will see a discolored spot. That's because today I thought about boobs so much that I started rubbing this journal against my wiener until stuff came out all over the pages. It tasted like salt. It tasted like salt. And this tastes like art.
You know, I could not agree more. I mean, look what he's done. He's literally put himself on the page.
I'm sure that if Walt Whitman were alive today, he would say, "Where did you get my journal? Why would you do this to me? I'll sue you. I'll sue you all. That was private." Join us next week when we listen to some answering machine messages left by the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Here's a preview. Thank you.
Pick up that phone! Pick up that phone! I know you're there! Yeah! I drove by the house and the lights were on. Never leave your lights on! Don't you mess with me! You better pay. You know what? I'm coming by at 7. I'm coming by at 7, and you better have my money! You... Quiet! Oh, somebody! Home! This dog is crazy! Sex robot, 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 sex coming robot, to your town. Sex robot, sex robot, sex robot, sex robot, sex robot, sex robot, sex robot. Do you want to get down? Sex robot, 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 sex robot. Sex robot, 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 sex robot.
Still fucking out there.
What does he want?
Did you call the police?
Yeah, like 2 hours ago.
Sex robot, sex robot, sex robot.
Hey there.
Robot, sex robot, sex robot.
Can we help you?
How did he get here?
Sex robot, sex robot.
How did you get here?
Sex robot.
And what does he want?
Sex robot.
What do you want?
Sex robot, sex robot.
He wants sex.
Well, that is not happening, Buster.
Sex robot.
He'll never stop.
Yes, he will.
Sex robot, sex robot, sex robot, sex robot. Sex robot.
Even in jail.
Sex robot.
Could we put him in another fucking cell, please?
Sex robot, sex robot.
He'll hump the bar.
Oh my God.
Sex robot, sex robot.
What are you?
Sex
Do
robot.
you want to get down?
I told you no!
Sexing up your town.
Sex robot. Sex robot, sex robot. Sex robot, sex robot. Sex robot, sex robot. Sex robot, sex robot.
He's made of sex.
Sex robot, sex robot. Sex robot, sex robot.
What did we learn here today?